Awesome, thank you. And my name is Eli. I'm going to walk back a little bit more so you can have a full view of me. And actually, I'm going to close out the chat there because it's going to be too far away for me to see. And we'll get ourselves started. So, finding yourselves on your mat. I personally, when I perform yoga, I'm barefoot on my mat. That's what traditional yogis will do. This side over here will be the front of my mat. That side will be the back of my mat. And sometimes I'll be turning to face the front of my mat, but hopefully my voice can project for you. So welcome to this introductory type style yoga session, hopefully to help you out to de-stress. So when we stand in yoga, I'm going to start us off in our mountain pose. Palms are facing forward, shoulders are relaxed away from our ears. Traditional yogis will have their feet touching each other, inner thighs touching each other. I suffer from low back issues, so I like to place my feet about a sits bones distance apart. I say parallel feet, number 11 shape, or 1 foot on each side of a railroad track. Finding ourselves standing and breathing. When we breathe in yoga, we breathe in through the nose, we breathe out through the nose. If for some reason you happen to have sinus issues, it's okay to breathe through the mouth. Just find a place where you can breathe and listen to your body. Possibly placing your hands onto your abdominals, breathing in and breathing out. As we breathe in, our rib cage expands like an accordion. As we breathe out, our rib cage closes. Breathing in, I'm exaggerating with my hands here, and breathing out. If you do have any kind of injuries, just listen to your body and take a break. If your body needs to take a break, it's okay to take a break by resting in child's pose or down dog, and I'll show you those poses shortly as well. Returning to our standing mountain pose, palms are facing forward, shoulders are relaxed away from our ears. Let's begin to activate one breath, one movement. As we breathe in, lengthen our arms up and overhead. Breathe out, chair pose, bending those knees, sitting our booties back onto an imaginary chair behind us. Again, breathe in, lengthen up, extended mountain. Breathing out to fold those knees. Some of us can bend our knees deeper than others, and you just go with your own perfect pace. Some of you might be moving faster or slower than my pace. It's okay to go at your own pace. The body-mind awareness that we create in yoga helps us to unify breath and movement. Body and mind working together, breath and movement matching. Now, to make this more challenging, as you bend your knees, you could lift your heels off of the floor and balance it out. Stand back up, resting those heels, fold those knees, maybe raise those heels. Up to you as far as what you know your body can handle. Also, we don't have music going because the sound gets to be pretty challenging. But if you want to play your own music in the background or have some music in some earbuds or AirPods, go for it. The next time we breathe in, let's keep our arms lengthened up and overhead. Breathe out, drop one arm down, activated lateral flexion. Breathe in, lengthen both arms to the sky. Breathing out as we laterally flex over to the other side. One breath, one movement, body and mind working together. Breath and movement matching. The next time we breathe in, let's keep both arms lifted up and overhead. The next time we breathe out, we release our hands and our energy to our heart center. We'll step our feet out nice and wide. I call this a sunflower stance. Let your toes turn out slightly towards the corners of your mats. We breathe in, circle sweep our arms to the sky. Breathe out, we're squatting down, bending those knees and gathering our imaginary sunflowers towards our core center. Then breathe in, we lengthen back up. Breathing out to gather our imaginary sunflowers. One breath, one movement. Body and mind continuing to work together. Breath and movement matching. We're warming up our larger muscle groups before we move into any complex postures. If you happen to be pregnant or if you happen to have back issues, limit the amount of rotation of your spine. That's our twisting motion. And we'll get into some slight twisting movements today. The important aspect is to listen to your body, to breathe, and to feel. The next time we breathe in, let's lengthen our arms back up and overhead. Breathing out, we release our hands to our heart center. I'm going to step over to the front of my mat. You're welcome to continue to face me. I just like to give a side view when I do my sun salutations. So I'm standing at the front of my mat. Palms are facing forward, standing mountain pose. Let's breathe in, lengthen our arms up and overhead, extended mountain. Breathe out, we swan dive forward, hinge from our hips. You can soften the knees, hands can rest at thighs, knees, shins, ankles, textbooks if you don't have blocks, or the floor. We step our right foot back, resting our right knee to the mat if that's okay for your body. Mindful left knee over left ankle for knee safety. Breathe in, let's lengthen our arms up and overhead. This is our kneeling warrior. Breathe out, we release our hands down. Let's step back, down dog or child's pose extended. So child's pose extended, I'm sitting my booty on my heels, knees can be together or knees can be apart. Breathe in, we move into our plank or our modified plank, chest over hands. Breathe out, we lower down, chaturanga, bend those elbows, my butt's sticking up slightly to the sky, head and chest are 1 inch from hitting the floor. Breathe in, drop those hips down, roll upward facing dog. Harder to have the knees lifted, nicer to have the knees resting. On our next exhalation, return to our child's pose extended. We find ourselves stepping our right foot forward, somewhat in between our hands. Some of us are more flexible than others. You don't have to look exactly like me. Mindful, right knee over right ankle for knee safety. If you can, breathe in, lengthen your heart center to the sky. Kneeling warrior. Breathe out, release your hands. We step forward, forward, forward. Using the power of our legs, let's breathe in, circle sweep our arms to the side. Breathe out, sinking into our chair. Let's move to our left side. That was a full sun salutation. Breathe in, we lengthen back up, extended mountain. Breathing out, we swan dive, hinging from our hips. Hands can rest at thighs, knees, shins, ankles, textbooks, feet, or floor. We breathe in, look forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, we step our left foot back. Kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. You can keep your left knee lifted off of the floor. Breathe in, we lengthen heart center to the sky. Breathe out, we release our hands as we step back. Down dog or child's pose extended. Let's breathe into our plank or our modified plank, chest over hands. Breathe out as we lower down, chaturanga. Breathe in, drop the hips, roll upward facing dog. Breathe out, back to down dog, or child's pose extended is what I choose. We're stepping our left foot forward, maintaining a breath pattern. We breathe in, maybe lift arms to the sky, maybe not. Breathe out, release our hands as we step forward, forward, forward. Let's breathe in, reverse our swan dive. Breathing out, chair pose. 2 more sun salutations. I'm going to go into down dog instead of child's pose. You're welcome to stick with child's pose extended. Breathe in, lengthen back up, extended mountain. Breathe out, hinging from our hips, swan diving forward, forward, forward. Breathe in, we look forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, we step our right foot back, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. I'm going to keep my right knee off the mat for a crescent lunge option. You're welcome to drop that right knee down. Breathing in, we lengthen heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step back, down dog or child's pose extended. Let's breathe into our plank or our modified plank. Breathe out, we lower down, chaturanga. Better knees to hit the mat than chest or belly. Breathe in, roll up dog, tops of the feet to the mat, lengthening ears from shoulders. Breathe out. If you want more work, add an extra push-up back to your down dog or your child's pose extended. We step our right foot forward. Left knee to the mat or not, you decide. Breathe in. Heart center sky, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathing out, releasing our hands as we step forward, forward fold. Breathe in, use the power of our legs to reverse our swan. Breathing out, chair pose to complete our sun salutation. Final sun salutation, breathe in, lengthen our arms back up and overhead. Breathe out, we swan dive, hinge from our hips into our forward fold. Breathe in, we're looking forward, monkey pose. Breathe out, we step our left foot back, kneeling warrior or crescent lunge. Breathe in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step back, down dog or child's pose extended. Let's breathe into our plank or modified plank. Breathe out, we lower down, chaturanga. Breathe in, drop the hips, roll up dog. Breathe out, maybe add your extra push-up back to down dog or child's pose extended. We step our left foot forward. Right knee to the mat or not, you decide. Breathe in, lengthening heart center sky. Breathe out, release our hands as we step forward, forward fold. Breathe in to reverse our swan. Breathing out, chair pose. Let's find ourselves a little bit closer to the floor. So breathe in, return to our extended mountain, circle sweeping arms to the sky. Breathe out, we swan dive, hinge from our hips, forward fold. We walk, hop, or jump, feet back, downward facing dog. We're going to walk the dog here as we drop one heel down, then the other. And just a reminder, anytime we go into down dog today, if your knees can handle it and you don't want to be in down dog, you can rest your knees to the mat into a child's pose extended. Anytime you need to take a break, listen to your body. It's about knowing the difference between discomfort and pain. Avoid crossing the line from discomfort into pain. We have starfish hands, even weight distribution amongst our fingertips and our palms. We rest our knees down, return to our child's pose extended, realizing we can return to this position at any point if our bodies need to take a break. If we can, finding ourselves in a quadruped position, all fours, hands and knees, open up the distance in between your knees so you could send 2 fists inside of those knees. Cat-cow postures. As we breathe out, we're rounding our mid-back, dropping our head, beautiful cat. As we breathe in, leading with our tailbone, looking up towards the ceiling, cow. Breathing out as we round, breathing in as we arch, creating a C-curve shape with our spine in 2 opposing directions. As we breathe out, drawing our heart center in towards our pelvis. As we breathe in, taking our heart center away from our tailbone. Returning to our quadruped position, spinal balance. The next time we breathe out, send one leg directly behind you, maybe the opposite arm forward. Then breathe in, resting hand and knee. Breathe out, switch over to the other leg, maybe opposite arm. Continue to alternate at your own perfect pace. Maybe only raise a leg, maybe only raise an arm. Strengthening through the gluteals of the leg that you're lifting. Strengthening through your obliques, your side abdominal muscles. Last one. Releasing back down. Curling those toes under. Returning to your down dog if that's okay for your body. Let's walk, hop, or jump feet forward, forward fold. Softening those knees. Use the strength of your abdominal core to assist you. Breathe in, we circle sweep our arms back up towards the sky. Breathing out, we release hands and energy to our heart center. We can step our left foot back, I'll face you again. Returning to that wide sunflower stance. Toes turn out towards the corners of your mats if you happen to have a mat. Finding ourselves moving into a warrior two position. Turn your left toes to face the back of your mat, your right heel towards the front of your mat. Letter T shape with your arms. We breathe in through the nose as we prepare. Breathe out. We're going to fold through our left knee joint, sink into low body, expand back with our upper body. Now you can look in my direction, but if you'd like to look over towards your left fingers, towards the back of your mat, go for it. Avoid lifting your shoulders by your ears. Try to melt those shoulders away from your ears. Possibly press through the outside of your right foot. Continue to breathe. Allowing our breath to release tension and stress. So we're transitioning now to hold poses, but if you do need to take a break, it's okay to take a break. Let's straighten through this left knee joint, preparing for triangle pose. Breathe in, lean towards the back of your mat, booty towards the front of your mat. Breathe out, drop your left hand to knee, shin, ankle, block, textbook, foot, or floor. Automatically push your hips forward in my direction, lengthening your right fingertips to the sky. Imagine that your body in this triangle pose is in between two window panes, carefully not touching the glass in front or behind you. We're letting go of thoughts of the past, letting go of thoughts of the future, finding ourselves in this present breath, in this present moment. Let's release our hands down. Now I have flexibility that I can have my hands hit the floor, but you can have your hands onto some textbooks or some yoga blocks if you have them. Let's step our right foot slightly inward to shorten the distance slightly between our feet. Pyramid pose. Hopefully your left knee is straight. It's okay if you have a gentle bend to that left knee. Shift your hips forward and back to determine if one hip placement over another creates a desired sensation for your body. Breath continuation. Now let's walk our hands back towards the center of our mats, adjusting our feet to our wide sunflower feet. Soften those knees. Using the power of our legs, let's breathe and circle sweep our arms back up towards the sky. Breathing out, we release our hands to our heart center. So we'll perform those poses for the other side, turning your right toes to face the front of your mat, pressing your left heel slightly towards the back of your mat, returning to our warrior two arms and our warrior two legs. We fold through the right knee joint, sink into low body, expand back with our upper body. Maybe send your eye gaze over towards your right fingers. Maybe send your eye gaze in my direction. Just promote a balance for your neck muscles. So if you looked in my direction for the first side, continue here. If you looked over towards your fingers on the other side, promote a balance for your cervical spine. And sink into low body, expand back with our upper body, pressing through the heel, the outer portion of our left foot, melting those shoulders. Let's straighten through our right knee joint, triangle pose. Breathe in, lean towards the front of our mat, booty towards the back of our mat. Breathe out, drop our right hand to knee, shin, ankle, block, textbook, foot, or floor. Lengthen our left fingers to the sky, opening up through the chest. And we breathe. Hopefully getting a nice stretch through the left top side of your body. Continuing to breathe out as much as we breathe in. Let's carefully release our top hand down, pyramid pose. We're stepping our left foot slightly inward, attempting to straighten through our right knee, shifting our hips forward and back to determine if one hip placement over another creates a desired sensation for our right hamstrings. Now let's walk our hands back towards the center of our mats, adjusting our feet to our wide sunflower stance, softening our knees. Using the power of our legs, we breathe in, circle sweep our arms back up to the sky. Breathing out, we release our hands to our heart center. We're moving into a straddle splits position. So our feet are in a lateral turnout. We're going to send our heels out slightly so the sides of our feet are parallel with the fronts and backs of our mats. And just depending on your flexibility, you might want to bring your feet in a little bit closer, or you might want to go a little wider, just personal preference. Breathe in, lengthen those arms up and overhead. Breathe out, swan dive, hinge your hips forward. Hands can rest to the floor or to blocks. And I'm going to widen my stance here because I have that flexibility. This is a stretch for the inner thigh area. And I'm also going to drop elbows and forearms down to the mat. You're welcome to keep your hands to the mat here. It's all personal preference as far as what feels good for your body or not. Preparing to move into a little bit of rotation of our spine, send your right hand directly underneath your face. Your left hand is going to go to your low back. Now, if you are pregnant, limit the amount of rotation of your spine. If you have back issues, limit the amount of rotation of your spine. So the first option is to look towards the back of your mat over towards your left foot. You could stay here. If you're able to go deeper into this, look up to the ceiling over your left shoulder. If you still want to go deeper, straighten through your left elbow joint and reach those left fingertips to the sky. Breath continuation. Let's return to center. We'll trade it out to the other side. Right hand underneath our face, left hand to our low back. Level 1, look towards the front of your mat. Level 2, look over your right shoulder up to the ceiling. Level 3, straighten through your right elbow joint and reach those right fingertips to the sky. Having the option to return to level 2 or level 1 at any point. Listen to your body. One side might be easier to twist towards than the other. We breathe. We listen to our bodies. And we feel. Let's return to center. Shimmy our heels inward for that lateral turnout. Soften those knees. Using the power of our legs, we breathe and circle sweep our arms back up to the sky. Breathing out as we release our hands and our energy to our heart center. We're stepping forward towards the front of our mats. Returning to our standing mountain pose. Palms are facing forward. Shoulders are relaxed away from our ears. Let's breathe in, lengthen our arms back up and overhead. Breathe out, we swan dive forward, hinge from our hips into our forward fold. We walk, hop or jump, feet back, returning to our downward facing dog. Every time we return to down dog, it's never quite the same sensation twice. Let's rest our knees to the mat. We walk our hands back towards our knees as we sit onto our heels, if that's okay. Wrapping our feet around towards the front of our mats. We'll find ourselves laying on our backs to move into a nice hip opener, our modified pigeon pose. So we lay down on our backs, knees are bent, possibly placing our right ankle onto our left thigh. From here, if flexibility allows, raise your left foot off of the mat. If you still want to go deeper, right hand inside the hole created by our legs, left hand to the outside of our left leg, we're clasping our hands around our left hamstrings. This is a great stretch for anybody that does a lot of sitting, a lot of running. Basically, any body can benefit from this stretch. Some of us are more flexible than others. Let's release the whole of this side and transition to the other side. Left ankle onto right thigh, right foot is hitting the floor. Maybe raise the right foot off of the mat to intensify this sensation. Possibly left hand inside the hole created by our legs, clasping our hands around our right hamstrings. Using the power of our hands to draw our leg a little bit closer towards our chest. Piriformis stretch. Breath continuation, allowing our exhalation to help us sink potentially a 1/10 of a millimeter deeper into this stretch. And let's release back down, finding ourselves moving into a rotation of our spine again. Always limiting rotation. I'm going to straighten my left leg flat to the mat, drawing my right knee in towards my chest. Left hand to the outside of the right knee, right hand to the floor, palm facing down. Pressing my right knee over to the left side of the mat. I can look up to the ceiling. Some of us could get our right foot to hit the floor, others may not. Again, limit your rotation of your spine. Maybe send your eye gaze over towards your right hand. If you still want to experience more sensation, dorsiflex your left foot. That's that straightened leg. Lift those toes up towards your face. You might experience a little bit more sensation. And again, you can determine if that sensation is desirable or not. Let's carefully return to center and trade out the sides, drawing our left knee in towards our chest, right hand to the outside of that left knee, left hand to the floor. Pressing this left knee over to the right side of our mat, maybe sending our eye gaze over towards our left hand, possibly dorsiflexing our right foot, pulling our right toes up towards our knee, and we breathe. I accept my body and my mind completely in this moment, in this breath. And let's gently return to center, hugging both knees in towards our chest. If we'd like to rock a little bit side to side to promote a gentle low back massage, we can. And let's return to a seated position. The safest way to do this is to roll to a side into a fetal position and press ourselves up to a seated position. From this seated position, I'll face you. We're going to return to that twisting motion, and we'll go through different levels here. Let's bend our left knee, keeping our right leg forward. We can send our left hand somewhat behind us. Right hand can go to the outside of our left knee for more sensation. Right elbow to the outside of the left knee. Maybe look over towards the back of your mat. Maybe look behind you over your left shoulder. Continue to grow tall as you lengthen up through the crown of your head and breathe. We return to center and trade it out to the other side, folding our right knee. Right hand behind our back, either left hand to the outside of the right knee, maybe a little bit deeper, left elbow to the outside of our right knee, looking over towards the front of my mat, maybe looking over my shoulder, behind me, possibly dorsiflexing my left foot, pulling my left toes towards my face, always breathing. Sending positive healing breaths to any area of our body where we currently feel sensation. Let's carefully return to center. Now we're going into some standing poses, a balancing half moon. If you want to have use of a wall to assist you, go for it. I've got a wall behind me, but I should be okay. So let's find ourselves back up to a standing position. Tree balancing pose. Palms are facing forward, shoulders are relaxed away from our ears. Open up through the chest. We'll start off with our left leg, so folding the left knee and opening the left knee towards the back of our mat. My left foot, my left toes are hitting the floor. We can stay here, tree pose, hands can go to heart center. If you like, raise your left foot up towards your ankle, your calf, above the knee, not exactly at the knee joint, if you can, above the knee, or completely up your left inner thigh. Hands can go wherever you want, and again, depending on where you have placed your foot, you can use the wall to serve as an assisted balancing pose for you. The next option, wherever your feet may be, raise your arms up and overhead. The best thing to do in a balancing pose is to send your eye gaze to a fixture in the room. If you start to look maybe at the instructor who might be teetering over, it's a domino effect. So keep your eye gaze in a balancing pose to an actual fixture. Hands might stay connected, they may come apart, and that's okay. Let's carefully release our hands down. We rest this foot down, realizing that sometimes it's easier to balance on one side over another, so let's see how we do on the other side. Letting go of competing with your right and left sides as well. We fold through our right knee joint, twisting our right knee over towards the front of our mat. Our right toes can stay to the floor. Possibly raise the right foot up towards the ankle, the calf, above the knee, or completely up the left inner thigh. Hands can be at prayer pose, heart center, potentially raising arms up and overhead. It's okay to have your back up against a supported wall. We breathe. Still attempting to breathe in and out through the nose if possible. We carefully release, returning to our standing pose. Palms are facing forward, shoulders are relaxed away from our ears. Let's breathe in, lengthen our arms up and overhead. Breathing out to release our hands and our energy to our heart center. Finding ourselves stepping forward towards the front of our mats. Standing mountain pose, palms facing forward. The next time we breathe in, let's raise our toes off of the mat. The next time we breathe out, we're spreading our toes as wide as possible onto the mat below us. Anchoring through our firm foundation. We breathe in, lengthen arms back up and overhead. Breathing out, we swan dive, hinge from our hips into our forward fold. Hanging out here in our forward fold, possibly folding our knees and sending our hands around our ankles. The next time we breathe out, attempt to straighten your knees, but keep your chest connected to your thighs. So some of us may or may not be able to completely straighten through the knee joint, but that's okay. Let's fold through those knees, release our hands down to the mat, placing our palms flat to the mat. If you're able to do this from a straightened knee position, that's wonderful. Let's walk, hop, or jump, feet back, returning to our down dog. It's okay to move into your child's pose extended as a substitute. Resting our knees back down to the mat. Hands return underneath shoulders. Finding ourselves moving into that spinal balance that we did in our warm-up, but this time around we're going to hold a static pose. So send one leg behind you. You can just stay here with your leg lifted. If you'd like to send your opposite arm forward, you may. Continue to hold this pose. Continue to breathe out as much as you breathe in. Next option, open your foot out slightly to the side and your hand into a diagonal line. Breath continuation. Let's release down. Trying out the other leg, extending that leg directly behind you from your quadruped position. Sending possibly the opposite arm forward. Continue to breathe. If you chose the diagonal option on the first side, try that out here. Sending your foot out slightly sideways, your fingers out slightly sideways into a diagonal line. We release, back down. Child's pose, extended, modified, or regular. Extended child's pose would reach our hands forward towards the front of our mats. Modified child's pose would stack fist on top of fist, resting our forehead onto our stacked fists. Regular child's pose would send our hands down by our feet. The head may or may not rest onto the mat. You can also use a textbook or a yoga block to rest your head. Knees can be together, or knees can be apart. If you're not in extended child's pose, let's march those arms forward into your extended child's pose. Now walk your hands over to one side of your mat as you sink your booty to the opposite heel and breathe. Returning our hands to center, then transitioning over to the other side, booty to the opposite end, and breathing. We walk our hands back to center, child's pose extended. Let's breathe into our plank or modified plank. Knees can be to the mat for that modified plank. Breathe out. We lower down chaturanga all the way down, resting chest, face, belly to the mat. If this is okay for your body. Hands nice and wide down by our shoulders. Keep your feet anchored. Gentle cobra. We slide our shoulders away from our ears, raising our face slightly off of the mat, drawing our shoulder blades towards each other. You can stay here. Our feet are anchored to the floor. If you'd like more sensation in your low back, apply pressure into your hands and straighten those elbows. It's going to feel somewhat like an upward facing dog. Breath continuation. And we release back down. Locust pose, we're going to raise every single body part we can off of the mat. Raising face, hands, feet off of the mat. Drawing shoulder blades towards each other. If this hurts you, go back to your gentle cobra. We release back down. Sideline dancer pose. You get to roll over onto one side. You can choose your right or your left side. Your bottom arm can serve as your pillow. We fold the knee joint of our top leg and draw this heel towards our buttocks. Common mistakes I see, people raise their top knee up to the ceiling and then they don't get much of a stretch through this quadricep. So drop this knee down towards the floor and find a place where you feel challenged yet successful. Some people are also very flexible in this area and you may not feel too much sensation. There is a version of this in a standing position to work on more balance. And if you'd like to stand now, you may. Let's release and let's switch over to the other side. Bottom arm serves as your pillow, folding your top knee, drawing this heel in towards your buttocks, and breathing. Let's release. We gently press ourselves up to our seated position, butterfly stretch, soles of the feet to touch, hands onto our ankles. We could stay upright. Some of us can get our knees to hit the floor a little bit closer than others, and letting go of that competitive spirit, finding a place where you feel challenged yet successful. If you'd like to intensify this sensation, hinge forward, sinking your face towards your feet. And we breathe. Bringing ourselves back up. We'll keep our left knee bent and open our right leg out to the side. From here, raising our left arm, we laterally flex over towards our right leg. Maybe look up towards the ceiling. Similar to our triangle pose that we did from a standing position earlier, feeling this nice stretch through the left side of our body. We're breathing. Now, similar to our pyramid pose that we did earlier on, we're going to turn and face our right leg and sink upper body over lower body without the pressure of our full body weight onto our feet. Some of us can get deeper than others into this hamstring stretch. Let's carefully bring ourselves back up to a seated position. Switch over to the other side, folding our right knee, opening our left leg out to the side. Let's breathe and raise our right arm up and laterally flex overhead. Potentially looking up towards the ceiling, maybe look forward in my direction. Always breathe. And let's turn towards this leg and embrace the sensations, stretching through the low back and the left hamstrings. We'll bring ourselves back up, preparing for a camel pose. This is from a kneeling position. If you do have a yoga mat and your knees feel really bony, it's okay to apply a fold into your yoga mat to supply an extra cushion for you. Maybe you've got a sofa, couch, pillow that you could place underneath your knees as well. I like to open up the distance in between my knees. You're welcome to keep a more narrow stance. Fists towards glutes, and you can substitute child's pose extended if this is not okay for your body. Push your hips forward towards the front of your mat. Open up through the chest, maybe look slightly towards the ceiling. If it's okay for your neck muscles, you can lift your chin to the sky. But if this hurts your neck, please drop that chin back down towards your chest and hold on to an imaginary golf ball underneath your chin. Maybe hinge back even more, possibly send your hands towards your ankles or your heels, puffing your chest up to the sky. Camel pose. Extension of the spine, giving more energy to our bodies. And let's bring ourselves back up, child's pose. Extended, modified, or regular. Sitting our buttocks back towards our heels, and we're breathing. Preparing for a knot pose, K-N-O-T knot. Sending our left hand underneath our right armpit, twisting our left palm to the sky, maybe looking over underneath our right armpit. Now you can stay here. This is threading the needle. But the knot pose, I'm going to look down to the floor and crisscross my arms, both palms face the sky. I can stay here in my child's pose extended for more intensity, but be careful if you have shoulder issues, possibly just stay here. But for more intensity, straightening those legs and laying completely onto your belly. This is your knot, KNOT. We're switching the crisscross of our arms, but if you stuck with threading the needle, just switch over to the other side. Palms face the sky. Surrender to our breath. We surrender to the pose. Continuing to send our positive healing exhalations to whichever area of our body we experience sensation. Now countering this protraction of the scapula with a little bit of retraction, uncross those arms, laying on your belly, chest expansion from our prone position. If you can, reach your hands behind you, clasping your hands, and lifting those hands up towards the sky. I have my face straight down to the mat. If you're more comfortable sending your right cheek to the mat, you can. I'll let you know when we're about midway through so that you could switch over and place your left facial cheek onto the mat. That's our midway point, so switch over to the other cheek. We breathe, feet are anchored. Let's release our hands, unclasping those hands. Down dog or child's pose extended, you decide. If you are in down dog, possibly a three-legged down dog, raise one foot off of the mat and breathe. Rest this foot down, try the other foot lifted. Three-legged down dog, sinking our head through our shoulders. Your heels may or may not hit the floor of your stationary leg, and that's okay if they don't hit the floor. Let's rest both feet down, down dog, or child's pose extended. We're resting our knees back down to the mat, walking our hands back towards those knees, wrapping our feet around towards the front of our mat as well. We can scoot forward just a bit. Boat pose. A little bit of strengthening for the abdominal core and the quadriceps. There's a few different levels of this. Hands can start off behind your hamstrings. Imagine that somebody just punched you in the belly, so sink through, hollow out the abdominals. You could stay here. To make it a little bit more challenging, but just be careful for those of you that might have low back issues, maybe raise one foot off of the mat, or the other foot, maybe both feet to make it a little bit more intense. With or without your feet lifted, if you want to make this a little bit more intense, straighten your arms forward so the arms are parallel to the floor. Next option, raise those hands up so the arms are parallel to the thighs. Next option, support the hamstrings. Straighten through those knees. This is your actual boat pose for your legs. Maybe hands go back parallel to the floor or parallel arms to those legs. Always breathe. Anytime you need to take a break, feel free to take that break and rest those feet down, protecting the back as well. Let's rest our feet down. Rest our hands down behind our buttocks. It's okay to substitute a fist for a wrist here. I have my fingers twisted towards my feet. Yoga tabletop. Possibly lifting the butt off of the mat. Using the belly and the chest and the thighs as our imaginary table. Maybe look to the ceiling. We could stay here in our yoga tabletop. If you'd like to move into an inclined plane, Straighten through your knees, pressing through your heels and your triceps. Breath continuation. Let's rest our hips back down, finding ourselves getting a little bit closer to relaxation time. Sometimes people think of relaxation as nap time, and if you do fall asleep, that's okay. Sometimes people end up snoring when we're in class, and that's completely acceptable. Before we get into that final relaxation position, let's move through a little bit of muscle tightening. So if you're able to straighten your legs, it's okay to keep those knees bent. The next time we breathe in, we're going to tighten and squeeze every single muscle we have in our bodies. For me, I lift my head, my feet, my hands off the mat, curling my toes under, and then breathe out, release, soften, and relax. Again, let's breathe in, tighten and squeeze every single muscle we have in our bodies. Breathe out, soften, release, relax. 2 more times. Breathing in, tightening and squeezing, holding on. Breathing out, release, let go. And last time, breathing in, tightening and squeezing, holding on. Breathe out, soften, release, and relax. For some people, just hanging out here, allowing the feet to flop open and the palms to face the sky is a great place for final relaxation. Others, especially if you have back issues, might appreciate folding the knees, where you could be in a butterfly stance for those legs, or nod the knees inward. Some people might prefer laying on their side into a fetal position, allowing the bottom arm to serve as a pillow. And another option, if this is okay for your body, is to come up against a wall and send your feet up to the wall, where your booty is right there where the corner of the floor meets the wall. And arms can go with whatever position feels most comfortable for your body. So just finding a place where you feel calm, peaceful, and relaxed. Attempt to clear your mind and empty your thoughts. I'm going to give us a good 5 minutes here of silent time and relaxation. I'll call you out of it shortly, but this is your time to breathe. This is your time to feel. If a thought comes to mind, allow your exhalation to erase it. Let's gently roll over onto one side into our fetal position, allowing our bottom arm to serve as our pillow, allowing our knees to fold up towards our chest, potentially wiggling fingers and toes to help reawaken our body. We gently press ourselves up, returning to our seated position. Allow your right ear to dip over towards your right shoulder, lengthening the muscles on the left side of our neck. Let's return to center, dipping our left ear over towards our left shoulder. We return to center. Let's breathe and lengthen our arms up and overhead. Breathing out as we release hands and energy to our heart center. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. At the end of a yoga session, the instructor will say namaste and will bow. You're welcome to respond with namaste. Thank you again. My spirit honors yours. Namaste.